I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's a filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at villageXchange@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Iron Maiden, Die With Your Boots On, Bitches is the name of this song. Let's go.
It is not bitches, I added that, babe.
Yes. I needed this. Up the irons, bitches! Let's go! That bass. Feel that bass in there, bro.
Another prophet of disaster. Who says this ship is lost? Another prophet of disaster, leaving you to count the cost. Taunting us with visions, afflicting us with fear. No point asking when it is. No point asking who's to go. No point asking what's the game. No point asking who's to blame. 'Cause if you're gonna die, if you're gonna die, and you're gonna die, if you're gonna die, die with your boots on. If you're gonna train and just stick around, gonna cry. Just move along. If you're gonna die, you're gonna die, die with your boots on. If you're gonna try, well, stick around, gonna cry. Just move along. If you're gonna die, die.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Tasco knows me, bro. Somebody
Why?
said this
What'd
guy's
you say?
top 5, and I was like, yeah. I put a 2 up there, and then Tasco goes, Dio would be number 1. See, it dudes know me. Tasco,
Or you two are the same.
Tasco,
That's how he feels.
Tasco's the one that was like, you said you're the, what did you say? Like one of the most compelling and simultaneously infuriating characters on the internet. Yeah.
It's maybe I'm like a nationalist because I always put everybody having an American accent, and then when we talk to people and we hear them, I'm like, wait a minute.
You are definitely a nationalist. I've had to hold you back from you and Dorian. You guys are the worst.
I'm trying to get better. Okay, this song, I like this. I appreciate the idea of not going down without your boots on. Why should you go down without fighting till the end? Why just lie down and die?
Well, that came from a movie, right?
Also depends on the day.
What? Don't you have that attitude? It's pretty much your attitude?
Yeah, but there are some days where I'm like, well, if I cover my head in this blanket and a giant steps through the window and squashes me, I'll be fine with that. And I won't have my boots on.
Did you think a lot about dying growing up?
Yeah.
Aside from martyrdom?
My family's kind of like weird. Now that I'm like in your family, I realize like everybody talked about death like a lot. Like, and I remember my brother when he had gone to like marriage counseling, and the pastor had asked them like, is there any like weird topics that your family like discusses a lot? And then my brother was like, death. Talk about death a lot at the dinner table even. Yeah, and I said to you last night, I said Meme was a little.
You did, yeah.
She was a little dark.
Yeah.
Because she would randomly say stuff like, I had a phrase in my head last night, but I can't think of it now. Well, you know, sometimes I feel like saying it, but I'm trying not to be so dark for you guys. But like,
Just
well,
go
if I don't
ahead.
make
Everybody
it,
wants to see one of your.
you know, if I don't make it, because you know, there's a part of you that's like, well, if I don't make it, yay.
What?
But then there's a party that's like, if I don't make it, that's not good. You know what I'm saying? Like, Meme would just say stuff like, well, anyway, maybe I'll fall out the window and it'll be over. You guys will be rid of me anyway.
Oh.
So like that sort of like dark sort of.
I started joking about that once I started going on trips.
Yeah, you used to. That's right.
Yeah. I don't do it anymore.
Why?
Well, there's no reason to.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want, like, somebody get a bad phone call, like, oh my god, blah, blah, blah. Like, what was the last thing he said to you? You know, like, something fun. Like, oh, if he dies, I can remarry, huh? You know what I'm saying? Like, something, you know what I mean? But, I mean...
You want that to be the last sentence?
Well, I mean, it's not an issue now. I'm not taking trips anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, that's not a situation... That's not a situation where that would be a thing, but, you know, I mean, do you think it's a bad idea?
To make a joke like
It's
that
kind of
before
like
you leave?
put that out there so that, you know, I mean...
I guess.
Because the thing is that nobody knew what I was doing. So for you guys, like, oh my God, he went on this work trip and he's dead. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, I knew nobody was expecting it. Nobody was thinking about it. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
I always thought about it. I was afraid the plane would crash.
Oh.
Anytime somebody that I care about goes in a plane, I'm always like, what if?
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah.
And then Shorty said,
What?
What she said before you left.
Oh, yeah.
It was craziness. Crazy. Shit's crazy over here. Anyway.
Yeah. So, but obviously, we've been. I don't know if that we've been thinking a lot about consciousness. I've been thinking a lot about consciousness the last couple of weeks, and it's crazy to me. Like everybody, you guys should. If you're Alan, I think you'll like this. I think Sadie, you'll like it too. It's this guy. It's called Theory of Everything with this guy Kurt something.
He's really smart.
He's a mathematician. He's a physicist. So yeah, he's extremely intelligent.
The only thing about math I liked was algebra because it made a whole lot of sense.
Really?
But I didn't like math.
Algebra. Yeah. So it's a very, very interesting channel. But one of the things that's massively fascinating to me about his guests is that, especially when they start talking about consciousness and all the other stuff, the God hypothesis, like it's not even. It's so strong. Well, forget about God for a second. But life after death or consciousness continuing after death, all these people to a man, these very educated people, like, well, of course.
Yeah. Right.
And you got regular people going, oh, as soon as you die, that's it. It's like, how do you know? How could you say that?
Honestly, people saying that's it is so irrational to me. I can't believe people say it. Like, I understand how I can say if I was not a Christian and I wasn't really surrounded by much religion, I can see how people would look at religious people and be like, you guys are nuts. You believe that your man died and then he rose from the dead 3 days later? Okay. Right. I can see that. But simultaneously...
As an atheist?
Yeah. Like, I can see
so
how
if
that
I were to say,
criticism
hold on, let me try something on you. Okay,
what?
So you believe it's crazy that a living man died and then came back to life?
Yeah.
As an atheist?
Yeah.
Would you... And if I were to say... But you believe that life came from non-living matter itself without a principle of life in the universe.
No, I would say what they say. I'd say we're going to figure that out. Right now,
no,
it's
what I'm saying is that's a bigger miracle than the principle of life returning somebody who died, right?
Maybe. But we don't know
I asked
that,
Jambi, he said yes. Yeah, they said yes. Just it's a logical question. It's not a scientific question.
Yeah. Well, you know how I am about that.
So one is a bigger miracle. So what you're talking about is a bigger miracle than what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No. Life coming from no life is a bigger miracle than one guy raising from the dead.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You would
with
have
that.
to admit that even if you were an atheist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jambi tried that.
But I don't know if I would agree.
Jambi tried it. He admitted it, and then he moved on.
Well, see, yeah, that's. Good
But
for
go
you.
ahead. Continue.
I'm just saying, if I was not a Christian, then I would have that criticism. But I look at people that say, after this, we just die, there's nothing. I just think that's simply crazy. Crazy.
Well,
it doesn't. I don't see how that
the more I listen
sense.
to the more I listen to these guys, the more it sounds crazy to me. But
yeah,
the only thing is this idea that you can definitively know that all consciousness ceases after death. How can you say that when you don't even know where consciousness originated?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
How can you say that? And the other thing is that, like, yeah, obviously there's an interdependence between the mind and the body, but there have been so many remote viewing, lucid, there's just so many things where it's like, come on, man, like you cannot definitively make that statement. So when I think about death, it's a transition of your consciousness from one dimension to another in a very similar way that, you know, birth functions that way to a degree. And I do think physiologically there are things that happen to your consciousness when you get exposed to the outside world, obviously. But I always think to myself, like, eventually I'll get to writing this.
I have a question, actually.
Go ahead.
So do you think that, so obviously we believe God is consciousness, that God gives us consciousness. But do you think that he created all of our consciousnesses at the beginning of everything, and then we pass into the womb, our consciousness passes into the womb, but that we existed prior to the womb?
I see what you're saying.
That's what I think. I can't give you a verse or anything like that, but that's kind of, I do think that we were somewhere else before. Our consciousness was somewhere else before it was in these bodies. But what do you think?
I have no idea.
I didn't say what do you know. I said, what do you think? It's a question. I know that we don't have anything definitive to know. I'm just saying, what would be your stab in the dark?
I don't know. I don't even know what my stab in the dark would be.
How can you not know what your stab in the dark would be?
Because I don't know.
Yeah, but a stab in the dark doesn't have to be like a theory that you've thought out for 6 weeks. It's just off the top of your head. Are you more inclined?
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting, Tasco, is that there's an argument that could be made that you're actually conscious in when you're under general anesthetic. I was just listening to a neurologist. I was just listening to a neurologist a couple weeks ago.
It's friggin' terrifying.
It might be.
They said that you're conscious, but that you forget about it.
Here's Ben. If our consciousness had a life before this, why don't we remember them? Well, you were alive in the womb, Ben, and you don't remember that. You don't remember anything till what? You're 3? So did you not exist for when you were 2? I don't think I don't think that the fact that we don't remember a situation that doesn't mean that we haven't experienced it. Supposedly you dream every night, and I remember only about 5% of my dreams. So that's not a very good ground to mount your attack.
Plus, the other thing is, like if a child has trauma when they're young, they forget a lot of their childhood. Like, who's to say that going from one place of existence into a womb for 9 months and then being birthed out isn't enough trauma to make you forget? Who knows?
Yeah. But death itself is just... I can't get my arms around what I'm trying to say because I've been doing so much thinking about it because I've been listening to those folks for so long. So it's just a very, very fascinating discussion. And I'm also watching the discussion between Alan and Sadie. I'm like, oh, this is an fun discussion.
You're always reading their
You gotta read the comments, otherwise why do it live?
Right.
But you talk about the stages of grief and things like that. And because my mom's a registered nurse, she was teaching CNAs and stuff. So she would teach me what she was teaching, her class and stuff. She was going through the stages of grief. And I was just thinking to myself,
Yikes.
like, I wonder if you can actually go through all of those stages and then begin at the point of acceptance when it's actually time for you to go. Because I've been in situations where the person was dying and the person clearly accepted that they were dying and they were okay.
Really?
I've also been in situations
I could see that happening.
where the person was dying and
they didn't accept it.
And they didn't accept it. Yeah. And then, folks had to encourage them to accept it.
Yikes.
And the way it happened, I think a lot of people would say is very sick, and that's why I never talk about that situation, because it's one of those things where people won't understand it, because it's, people won't understand it. But unless you were there,
you're saying the person that accepted it or the person that didn't?
Yeah, just a situation, but death is it's a tough situation for. I just think I always think to myself, like, okay, if we were all living in a big giant womb, all we would know is that people that are in the womb that are chilling with us, they go someplace and they never come back. So we'd be like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. So if you had a society in the womb and it was like, hey, it's time for you to be born, they would interpret that as it's time for you to die. Mm-hmm. Because they're leaving a reality to enter into a completely different reality. Mm-hmm. Everything's dark there. There's light here. What the fuck is light? They don't even know. What is that? What is light?
Right.
All the baby has is the familiar voice of his mom to deal with the new reality that they're
Dad did talking.
For sure. But you see my point? Like,
yeah, I do.
So I understand, like, the fear of death, but to me it's the same thing. It's like that voice that I've been hearing my entire life. Like, I'm in the womb right now. The voice I'm hearing my entire life is the voice of my father. And when I go over there, that's a voice I'm going to hear in the face I'm going to see. And I'm like, oh, it's you, just like when I was born. But if you don't have that knowledge that you're going to your father, mm-hmm. to where you actually originated from, because when a kid is in a hospital He's not home.
Right.
The kid did not originate in the hospital unless his mother was a nurse or something, watching Grey's Anatomy. The kid actually is born away from his home, and then the parent takes them home. Mm-hmm. And so, for me, when I think about, and I bless God, I've been able to see a bunch of births because we got a lot of kids. And to me, it was bloody. It was loud. It was gross. It was terrifying, and it was the most glorious thing I'd ever seen ever. Mm-hmm. And so from that regard, I look at death like, okay, let's do this shit. You know what I'm saying? I really believe that, especially, the scripture says, death, where's your sting? I've got a theory. I'll tell you later. I'm not going to talk about it right here, but I'll tell you later if you remind me and if I remember. But I've got a theory that dying now is different than dying before Jesus died. But I read a quote from Spurgeon that was really, really good. Spurgeon said, you have probably felt the deepest pain physically that you're ever going to feel in your life already. He was talking about death, and he was saying, whatever is going to kill you is probably not going to be as painful as that broken leg you had, or the compound fracture, or my migraine headaches, or whatever. So he said, whatever, because Spurgeon had gout and all this other stuff, so he was constantly in pain. But he was like, look, man, whatever is going to kill you is most likely not going to be as painful as, whatever. That, oddly enough, was actually pretty helpful. But yeah, man, when it's time for me to die, man, like, inshallah, everybody says, I've been in situations, obviously, people know that, like, where it's like, I was pretty certain I was going to, but I didn't feel anything. And I used to think that was a good thing, but now I'm like, no, that's not a good thing. Like, when it's actually time to die, I want to have all my feelings like on 10. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but maybe they're transitioning.
Yeah, I agree.
So if they're transitioning, okay, and maybe this is what you're saying you want to save for later, but if you think that death before Jesus dying was different than death after Jesus dying, then maybe this is just like probably just like a poetic way of saying it. But if to die without Christ is to die and go to darkness, then maybe to die and to go to the next place before the death of Christ would be going to live in a place of shadows, and then after Christ is to go to live in the light. True. But were you going to dig more into that for later? Was it about that topic?
Yeah, it was about death, but it was in a completely.
I'm
talking physiologically, not theologically.
Okay, all right.
It's Iron Maiden. I'm giving it a 10.
Yeah, I was giving it a 10 as well. This is a really good song. I thought it was a perfect ending to our DJ stream.
Yes.
Overshadow, you have outdone yourself, and lots of people have said how much they loved this stream. I am glad that we did this stream because I was pretty frustrated when it first started. Remember, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go in a corner and cry or.
Yeah.
So thank you for hanging out with us and doing this with us. I needed it.
Yes. Okay. Sadie and Alan, I will ask you guys the four of us got to hook up offline because I don't want to have a conversation just the four of us and leave everybody out or whatever. So we should probably schedule this offline. But I'm very, 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 very curious as to your guys'
thanks, Kai.
Perspectives on things. Particularly, Alan, if you disagree with original sin, one, let me ask this question. What from your perspective do you think originals... Don't answer me here, because like I said, I don't want to have the conversation here and there's 85 people here, so I don't want to exclude anybody. But one, tell me what your definition of original sin is. Your definition, not the Google definition. And then two, I'd like to know, for our conversation, have you ever met somebody that didn't have some sort of character flaw? So, child, adult, baby, octogenarian, septuagenarian. Have you ever met someone that was completely perfect and never had a character flaw? Or conversely, the third question would be, if you ran into a person that said, I've never done anything wrong ever in my entire life, would you believe them? And if not, why not? So those are 3 questions, inshallah.
Yeah,
You can
I don't understand why
respond to me in email, and then we'll set something up. I've got Sadie's email too, so
Yeah, but I feel like people would want to hear this thing. What you can't say we're leaving people out because we're having a conversation that they're not privy, they're not having a part of. I think you're leaving them out by having a conversation where people can't even watch it. Like, people don't go to the movies and say, "Damn, I got left out of that movie." You got to sit there and watch it. People want to see the conversation. People want to see where it goes.
well, Ben Webb
And we all love hanging out with each other.
Ben Webb has just disproved original sin, because Ben Webb said, "Oh, it's for both of us, both of you guys, for sure." Why so exclusionary? I want to hear. Oh my goodness.
See, I told you.
Okay.
Who just said that, Amy?
Yeah, it was Amy.
Yeah. We're on the same wavelength.
Ben Webb says, "I am perfect, so yes."
Okay. Well, then why don't you put your face on your thumbnail thing?
No, they're not slightly loaded. They're completely loaded. Not slightly loaded.
Oh, wait. And end the Vin out, Sori out, so we have that, and you can keep chatting, but we got to end the song review.
Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.